Okay, well, let's jump right in. We got a little bit of time left. I just wanted to introduce everybody to Ashton. Ashton's been in real estate now a couple of years. He came on board as a new agent, went after those expired leads, then got sidetracked with other lead sources. They weren't working all that great. They were having some small successes, but he found some other lead sources that were really rocking it, and he pivoted to those. Then those dried up, and so he pivoted back to expireds and having much more success, and he's learned a lot. So I wanted to, as he walks away, I wanted to introduce Ashton Ackery out of Colorado, and take it away, Ashton.
Sweet, can you guys hear me? All good?
Well, yeah, we can hear you. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, we got you. We got you.
Sweet. I'm working from home today and I got the dog, so I apologize if you hear some barking off and on. But
That's all right.
yeah, super
Most of
excited
us
to
have
be here
dogs.
and super excited to kind of touch on the subject. Now, I do want to preface, I'm no expert on expireds. I've done expireds in the past. Didn't really work out for me. So like Mike said, I pivoted. It wasn't until I think December 17th when I was finalizing my business plan for 2024, I really decided that expireds are going to be my bread and butter. And come January 1st, 2024, I really hit the ground running, make my calls, and super excited to share with you the results in my, I guess, month and a half of doing expireds, and hopefully can help you guys expedite that learning as well and learn from my mistakes so we can get that ball rolling for y'all too. But presentation today, making money now, working expireds. And the reason I titled the presentation this is because when my team, I was previously in business with 200 partners and they decided to step away. So when they stepped away, I just didn't have the ad spend to continue to close and pay for PPC leads. So I was thinking to myself, well, what's another way I can grow the business and do so by closing deals in the next 20 to 60 days because I have rent and I want to keep a roof over my head. So I decided to stick with expireds. I kind of put together this, I guess, prospecting matrix, and this is just something I put together from my last 2 years of experience. And for me, and what I've seen in the last 2 years, expireds and FSBOs. I mean, if you can convert those at a high level, I mean, these folks are closing within as little as 30 days. And like I said, I was in the predicament where I needed that cash now. So I decided to hop on expireds. And yeah, so with expireds, my two tools that I use are the Mojo Triple Line Dialer and Vulcan 7. Now, I did include the prices too, just to be upfront, because it can get pricey. But one thing I do want to mention is the fact that these are two different systems, right? When it comes to Vulcan 7, if money is tight and you want to, I guess, test the waters, I would recommend investing in Vulcan 7 initially and then adding Mojo. Because what Vulcan 7 is when you pay the $359 a month, you're getting a dialer, you're getting expired FSBO and circle prospecting data. Topics out as well, or fields of expertise, you can do so. So you essentially get 3 pieces of information or data pieces in one, in addition to the CRM and the single line dialer that Vulcan 7 provides. So Vulcan 7 is essentially everything you need to get started. And then Mojo just essentially helps you expedite that process. The only downfall with Vulcan 7 is the fact that it's only a single line dialer, whereas Mojo, for $149 more a month, you can call 3 people using the triple line dialer. I would recommend Vulcan 7 because they're one of the only data sites that uses tax records to pull phone numbers and emails. So I've noticed that not only does it pull twice as many phone numbers per profile, but they're also significantly more accurate because of that. I mean, you could just go purchase the Mojo Dialer triple line on there and purchase the expireds from them, but their data is going to be more inaccurate and more scarce. So if I were getting started in expireds, I would start with Vulcan 7. And once I feel comfortable to, add the additional 149, you can start triple line dialing these folks too. And I got a message, did you ever try Red X? I have. So I've actually tried Mojo, Vulcan 7, and Red X. Actually, when I first got into expireds, Red X was my go-to. Pivoted to Mojo, and then now into this current setup. So I have experience with all 3 of those, And I just find that Mojo and Vulcan 7 complement each other very well. And you can really crush the phones with both of these two systems. So from my experience in the last 60 days, I've noticed not only from myself, but my team as well, for every 10 conversations we have with a brand new expired, we can set an appointment. And that's between day 1 and day 30. So let's say yesterday we got 14 expireds. If I can have 10 conversations with them, odds are, statistically speaking, we're going to set at least one appointment. And for older expireds, being 30 days out to as far as 2 years out, it's going to take a little more time just because either these folks are all already sold. Maybe they're putting those plans on hold, or they're just tired of realtors calling them, so they're going to hang up on you much more quickly. So 10 conversations to set an appointment for 1 to 30 day expireds, 20 conversations to 30 days and plus. And essentially all you really need to do is have the data, the dialer, or even use your phone number. But one thing that I guess led to my success with expireds now and not previously when I was doing them back in September of 2023 was the fact that now I'm implementing script writing, chanting, and role play. Because, I mean, if you're an expired, your phone's getting blown up. You're getting calls from maybe 35, 40, 50 agents. And if you stumble over your scripts or you can't handle objections, I mean, they're just going to hang up on you like the other folks who have called. So expireds, pretty easy to get into, but the skill required to convert them is something that you're definitely going to have to sharpen by script writing, chanting, and role play. So in my last 60 days, I've noticed that in the appointments I have set, 33% of them will meet after setting the initial appointment. 33% of those will reschedule, and 33% of those will cancel. As I continue to work expireds, I've noticed that there are multiple places where I can increase these ratios. And that's when I'm on the phone and I do set an appointment. It's only 0 to 2 days out, as opposed to next Saturday or Sunday. Sending a Google Calendar invite. I mean, simple things, and then calling to confirm and ask questions the day of the appointment. So very simple stuff, but I mean, simplicity goes a very, very long way when it comes to expired exposure, really anything in real estate. So when it comes to my, I guess my game plan in the play when it comes to new expireds, I call new expireds starting at 8 a.m. That's the first time we're legally allowed to call in the state of Colorado. I definitely double check in your states because it could be different. Expireds are the low hanging fruit. I mean, everybody recognizes that these are folks who have raised their hand to sell and either couldn't sell because maybe it wasn't priced correctly or the agent just failed to sell the property or whatever. But a lot of the agents in the market notice this and they want the apple. So you're going to get a bunch of people calling as soon as that data is released. So you want to be the first one to call them, or at least one of the first to call them. And then when it gets time to filtering and calling through those expireds, if I don't get in contact with some of the new ones, I'm going to call them again and try to get in contact with them. I'm not going to call 5, 6, 7, 8 times until I get them on the phone because that's just stalker behavior. But I would at least give it 2 attempts in that first day because that's money on the line. That's a closing right there, and another family you can help. And then if I can't get a hold of them after the second attempt, I'm sending them a text with a personal line, either a bomb video or a YouTube video, just so they can see my face and set myself apart from the other 40, 50, 60 agents who are calling them. And then after I get through my new expireds, after that, I'm usually calling the buyers through the last 30 days of expireds, at least one time through. And if you have time, you can call through the 0 to 30 days until you make contact. But I'm not trying to sit on the phone for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours and then sending those folks a text as well. Now, this is kind of what my schedule looks like and what's been successful for me. As you can see, there's quite a few place markers for objection handlers. I'm practicing this 7 times a week. 11 a.m. every day, and then twice a week, Wednesday and Friday. So that's 7 times, roughly 2.5, 3 hours on my scripts and objections every single day. And it makes a big difference. And then as you can see, call in 4 or 5 hours a day. And whoops. Sorry, I just got a phone call. So, I mean, making sure I'm setting aside the time to call those new expireds and then time to get in touch with those older ones too. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, all this is great and all, but what are the results you've seen? Well, this is from February 1st until the 19th. So in the last 19 days, I've made 1,800 calls. I've had 46 contacts, and I've set six appointments, 5 listing appointments, 1 buyer appointment. I've been told to F off 27 times. However, I've already signed 4 clients in the last 19 days, just under $2 million in volume, $68,000 in GCI. And then 1 appointment canceled, and then 1 appointment, I shouldn't say signed, but one of the 6 was rescheduled and will be happening later this week. So hopefully a 5th client signed from expired this month, fingers crossed. And if not, I'm gonna keep, oh, can you guys not see my screen?
No.
Oh my gosh, I wish, okay. That's silly. Let's see here. I had a whole presentation. I made it so cool.
Oh, look at
Can everyone
that.
see this now?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now I get. I love the fact that you're keeping track of how many times you're told to F off.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna send out a copy of this for everybody. But I guess none of this is the important part, the numbers, right? So when it comes to expireds, the golden standard for contact rate is going to be between 2 and 5%. Mine for the month of February has been on average 3%. And then the total appointments, 8% of those 3% I converse with have led to listing appointments. So and when you talk to folks who do a lot of cold calling or prospecting, I mean, they say it's a never game, and that's true, because I could take this data and extrapolate. So for me, if I know that I want to set another appointment this week, I've got to make 407 calls. And if I want to get another closing, I've got to make 1,200, because we know that 33% of those are going to meet and sign. So if I'm making 400 calls a day, I'm having a closing as a result of it every single week. Yeah, I'm just
ask you a question. Okay, to ask a question.
Yeah.
Too early to ask this question, but I wanted to see how much, I know you've signed as a listing, but what's the percentage of conversion, meaning like you actually sold it and closed? Because expireds by nature are harder than regular listings, because something that the other agent did or in terms of the house that didn't work. Right? So are these listings, when you give the numbers, closed anything?
I actually have. I've closed 2 last month because of expired. And I've noticed that there is a common misconception that expireds are harder to close than a normal listing. And
Well, I think that's
well, in my personal experience, I mean, I've talked to a lot of folks who are getting expireds, and they ask me if it is more difficult than a more traditional listing, and that's not the case unless you decide to, sign someone for an unreasonable list price. The few expireds I have had the opportunity to work with, I mean, some of these folks do want to list at a higher price, but I mean, there's not enough time in the day for me to focus on somebody who wants to list their home $200,000 over asking price. So if they're going to be unreasonable, I'm just not going to take the listing, if I'm being honest. And one of the closings I had last month, I mean, this guy had been on the market for 80 days, 0 offers, and ultimately expired. Worked with me. We got it on the market. We listed it $10,000 over the asking price at which it previously expired at. Got it under contract in 4 days and over asking price $10,000. So we got it under contract in the first weekend, $20,000 over what it expired at. So it's definitely, I mean, you just got to make sure you're pricing it correctly. It's just like any listing. I mean, if you take SOI listing and you list it over asking price, it's going to sit or even expire. So you just got to make sure you're setting the expectations. And I mean, in my experience with the expireds I have worked with, they just want to get the job done. I mean, in the majority of the times, I mean, the previous agent they were working with, maybe they had told them that the home didn't, sell because they listed it high. And And if odds are, if they're really relisting it, I mean, they want to get it done, and they're open to some of your feedback, suggestions to make it happen this time, because it's a lot. It's a big thing to commit to. I mean, having people come in and out of your house, so you just got to be upfront with them. All in all, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. I guess it depends a lot on what area you're in, but
Yeah.
usually in the area that I work at, usually the agents are pretty good, and
Mhm.
so not all the time, but 80% of the time, if someone could not sell a house, there's something wrong with the house, not
Mhm.
the agent or the seller. But of course, we can't generalize, but congratulations
Definitely.
in
No,
that
and I
side.
appreciate that. And when it comes to expireds, I mean, it's not always the house's fault. It could be the agents, it could be the market, it could be anything. However, even in the most dire circumstances, whether the foundation is falling apart or it's a house that burnt down, if you price it correctly and you market it correctly, it's going to sell. Um, So it comes down to setting expectations and being strategic, because I mean, let's say someone smokes cigarettes in the house and it smells. I mean, you're gonna have to price it correctly, but if you price it correctly, it's still gonna sell. So these are just my numbers right here. As you can see, I did include this right here. I was told to screw off 27 times because you got to realize, I mean, there's a bunch of agents contacting them, and you are going to be told off, and you're going to have to get some thick skin, because calling expireds is very difficult. However, if you just stick with it, I mean, it's going to pay itself 10 times over. So those are my numbers for the month. This is the exact script that has gotten me the 2 closings last month, and the 4 I just signed in the last couple of weeks. And this will be shared out as well. And then I also have a pre-qualifying script as well. So after you set the appointment, some additional questions that can help you not only confirm that the appointment is A, still happening, but B, also get some more information so you can prep for the appointment accordingly.
Can you go back to your other script? Just kind of checking it out.
Yeah, of course.
Good stuff.
So
Ashton.
when it comes to scripts for expireds, there's a lot of folks I've realized, because I've listened in on multiple calls from other people who call expireds, is the fact that they're focusing on the sale. And if you're focusing on the sale, yes, you can definitely get some listings and succeed. However, what you really want to do is focus on them, focus on their motivation. And I mean, you got to get them excited about making that move, because after they pulled their home off the market because it didn't sell, I mean, they're going to be extremely discouraged. So you got to really find out why they're moving, what's taking them there, when they're hoping to be there, and utilize that to make it happen. So there is that one.
By the way,
and then
there's some recorded calls from Ashton and I believe Alex that they uploaded them into the Discord server if you want to listen to them actually making your call. Now, they're not the FU calls. They actually had they're calls where he has had success, but you can listen in.
Definitely. And I'm going to touch on that here shortly as well. So I got the pre-qualifying script too. And these are just kind of a couple of things that I've learned working the expireds.
Somebody still needs to mute themselves.
I just muted them.
Okay, perfect. So it's a couple of things I've learned. Yeah, what's up?
Do you feel like during your phone calls from the beginning, I saw the first couple questions you asked, and then towards the middle, do you feel like the momentum of the phone call changes at any point in time? Like, are you getting a better feel for, I guess, the time frame in the call, or how some of the questions may get the sellers talking more than others?
I mean, the real bit, I guess the real momentum changing question for me would be, I mean, had the home sold, where were you off to? Because every agent is going to say, I mean, ask, has a home sold? Are you still open to offers? I have a buyer. But the big question is, I mean, where are you guys going to? Okay, nice. What's taking you there? And this chunk with the ABC, I mean, is really going to be your bread and butter, because it's going to give you all the motivation as to why they're moving. And I mean, it's going to give you all the power. Not only are you going to know why they're wanting to move, where they're wanting to move, and when they wanted to be there, but you're also going to be reporting, rapport building as well. Okay, so nice. You said you're headed to Texas. What's taking you there? Oh, Texas. Okay, you got some family down there. I got some family out in Fort Worth. I mean, aside from family taking you to Texas, what else? What else is bringing you there? Are you going for work, so on and so forth? And then just, I mean, really go 3 deep with the questions. What's taking you there? Do you have family down there? Are you from there originally? That's a big change. How do you feel about, I mean, throwing away the shovel for good, the snow shovel for good? I mean, just rapport building. I mean, you just got to have a conversation with them. And this to me is more of an outline. I'm still asking all these questions, but you do got to come up with some of the questions on the spot.
Do you ever notice that your sellers, at least, because I do some expired calls too, and when you ask them about how help you understand why their home didn't sell before, 90% of the time get sellers just to give me all the nasty details about how terrible their last agent did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's usually where they feel so propelled just to like give you everything. At least that's been my experience.
And out here, it may be a little bit different, because out here, it's always like, well, my agent told me that the market was tough, so we're just going to wait until summer, or we're going to wait for the election to be over, or whatever. And I mean, I haven't been on the expired side of things, but I mean, a lot of these agents are going to blame other things just so they get another opportunity to relist the house. So I've never really experienced that for my calls, but I mean, it kind of does get in there. So, I mean, can you help me understand what you think stopped your home from selling? Yeah, the market. Yeah, the interest rates. Yeah, these buyers can't afford my house, and we're not going to give the house away for free. And I mean, they're going to start really laying out all their objections for you before they give them to you, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. And yeah, so it really goes to motivation, why they think that the house didn't sell, and then closing based off of the motivation right there.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Thank you. And then a couple of things that I've learned for expired.
Ashton,
yeah.
Ashton, Nora's asking, do you use a headset?
I do use a headset. My work supplies me with one, but when I'm at home, I just use my speakerphone because I'm usually doing other work while I'm on the phone, and I don't really want to drop $120 on a headset. I probably will for home, but yes, I do. I got to open the chat so I can see any other questions. So a couple of things I've learned based on my data that I have been working with expireds. I've learned that 66% of these people are either going to reschedule or cancel. So I'm not preparing a CMA until the day of the appointment or until I get a confirmation, because I don't want to prep for an appointment that statistically speaking are going to cancel. So I usually set my appointments for 3, 4, 5 o'clock on the weekday. I call them either the night before or the morning of. Once I get the confirmation, I'll start preparing the CMA, because why waste the time if they're not even going to be there? When it comes to dialing, especially when it's getting started, I would recommend calling in intervals, 25 minutes of dialing with a 5-minute break to stretch, use the restroom, fill water bottle, whatever, because it's a lot of sitting there waiting for people to answer. And you just got to make sure you're sharp and ready to answer and respond when someone does pick up the phone. The pre-qualification script or phone call is just as important as the initial call. And that's going to be this script right here. I mean, making sure that they're going to be there. Are you looking to interview more than one agent for the job? How soon are you wanting to be there? And just getting into the really nitty gritty of, I guess, what you're going to be touching on the day of. Please, if you are going to be doing expireds or FSBOs, practice your listing presentation, because you're going to spend a lot of time practicing your expired scripts, objection handlers, and resolutions. And if you do get the opportunity to book an appointment, I just want you to be able to close that sucker. I mean, a lot of folks are putting a lot of preface on and importance on the script, but if you can't close them, the appointment is, you might as well not have gone.
That's a good point.
Let me take back. It's always a good learning lesson, and getting in front of people is great, but I want you to close. When I call, I stand. Make sure you stand. I'd always recommend that, because you're gonna get your energy going, chest up. You're gonna be a little more confident, breathe better, feel better, and you'll make better calls as a result. If your state law permits, please record your conversations, listen to them. and see if there's any patterns. If you're getting hung up in the first 5 seconds, odds are your intro sucks. If you can't close and you hear that in your recordings, you're gonna have to work on your close. And it's practice. You got to realize when you're screwing up, because it's very easy to just blame the other people on the side of the phone, where the majority of the time it's us. And that's the biggest takeaway that I've got in my first month and a half of doing these. And if you're either listening to your recordings or you just get off the phone call, write down your objections, and it's particularly the ones that have stumped you in the past, because these are going to be the best opportunities for growth. And the majority of the times, I mean, you call an expired, I mean, Robert, you call expireds, you recognize that the majority of the objections are, I mean, very, very similar. We're waiting, we're not selling them anymore, we're relisting with the same agent. I mean, those are really the big three that you're going to run into all the time.
Yeah.
And they're going to boil down into, I mean, they're going to have a different mask, but they're going to boil down to the same thing. We're going to wait till the elections are done. We're going to wait for spring. We're going to wait for the market, interest rates. I mean, 4 different ways of saying the same thing. And you got
I
to
like
be able
Phil
to
Jones'
shoot those
objection
down.
handling technique for all 4 of those.
Oh yeah,
It's real simple. Really? Why that?
yeah. What makes you say that? That's one
Exactly.
of my favorite ones.
I mean, I love that. It doesn't get any easier, and just let them talk again.
Exactly. Give them an opportunity, because the quality of your life is determined by the quantity of quality questions that you ask. So make sure you're using that time and asking the right questions when you have the 5 to 10 minutes on the phone with them. And then to Mike's point, there are, I mean, if you want to hear some of us calling expireds, if you go to the Discord, call recordings right here, if you click that, you can see, I think there's 4 or 5 expired appointments that have been set. The call quality may not be the best, but the quality of the call was great because we set an appointment. So listen to those. I'll be starting to post some of my failures as well. But I encourage you guys to post them there, because I think we could all learn from everybody's calls and celebrate each other's wins as well. And that's my spiel. I'm happy to answer any more questions, and yeah, thank you.
Richard, what you got?
Hey,
did you just put your hand back
Richard,
up?
how you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, boss, how you doing, buddy?
I am fantastic and getting better, like I say. What are the
There we
10
go.
steps that you have to go through to get yourself in position to be making these expired listing calls? Saying yes. What are the 10 steps you think?
In regards to like prepping for the day, or just getting the
Or
system
just
set
getting
up,
started, like getting your dialers, getting, Vulcan 7 and Mojo. What is your list that you would say put together to get started?
That's a great question. And it really depends on your approach to the situation. Do you want to call 3 people at a time with spotty data, or call 1 person at a time with fantastic data? So I'd first think about that philosophy. So choose a dialer/system. I'm putting this in the meeting chat. 2, grab a script and practice. 3, call. That's it. I mean,
Now,
I can definitely come up with a 10-step program, but I mean, it's really as simple as that. I mean,
Love it. I love it.
You got to pick a script and go with it. And
Right.
I'm sure I could come up with a 10-step program, but I'm just trying to make it as
Man, I'm
simple as
impressed
possible.
with you, Ashton. Keep doing the great job.
Appreciate that, buddy.
Who do you script practice with, and have you used ChatGPT to script practice?
I have not used ChatGPT to practice, because everybody on my team wants to practice. So I'm actually adding 2 more
script on your team.
Yes, and I'm also open to role playing with anybody in this as well, because the more the merrier. I'm trying to fill up my week, so I've got 3 more days open for script practice.
Okay.
But yeah, we practice as a team every day, fortunately, but I also like to do individual stuff as well to focus on my weaknesses and help people improve upon theirs as well.
So if anybody's looking for script practicing partners, let Maria or I know, or throw it into the Discord channel, and we will help match you up with somebody in your time zone or somewhere that will work for you. Because ideally, you want to script practice right before you make your calls.
Yep. I don't. I should.
You just don't.
But I mean, I'm rolling out of bed at 6:30. I'm walking the dog. I'm making breakfast. So by the time I'm actually like ready, I'm already starting my calls. I could
Well,
probably
it
optimize that a
ideally
little
you
more,
want
but
to,
yeah.
but whatever works works as long as you're making the calls. But ideally you want to make, or you want to practice right before you jump on the calls. But again, whatever works for your schedule and do it. And script practicing, I think a lot of people think that it's this big, huge thing. It can be a 15-minute call. It does not have to be an hour-long, big old call. It can just be 15, 20 minutes, rehearse the scripts, and then get on the phone.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the scripts too, I'll piggyback off of that before answering another question. I mean, when I first got into it, I didn't role play immediately. I would write down my script 3 times a day for 5 days, and then I would go into chanting it. So speaking it out loud, making sure that not only can I memorize it, but I'm practicing my intonation, the speed at which I'm saying the words. And then once I got that down, I started role playing, just practicing saying the script, and then focusing on the objections. Because when it comes to on, I'd start with the script and then objections, because you can't get to the objections if you don't have a good script, and you can't close if you get past the objections. So that's what I would focus on in that order. And then Kevin, it looks like you have a question, boss.
Yeah. So I moved to Mojo. I was working on Vulcan 7.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was you on Discord, and actually Mike told me that you moved to Mojo, and I love the triple dollar. I love it. One of the questions I have though is I do love Mojo for the fact that you can hit a button and send a voicemail for that. What's your thoughts on actually leaving voicemails? And two, if you are cool with using Mojo to leave a voicemail, how do you make sure you're not sending multiple voicemails to the same person? Keeping track of who's getting a voicemail versus not getting a voicemail, so that you don't like double send them.
Are you triple line dialing?
Yes.
Okay, because I mean, as you know, there's like 4 or 5 numbers on a profile. I don't know if you're using Mojo's Jet or Vulcans. I guess in this situation, it doesn't matter. But once you hang up, I mean, you get the option to say contact, no contact, appointment, voicemail. I mean, it's only leaving 1 voicemail per number associated with the Mojo profile. So it's never going to leave 2 voicemails on that person. Now, there may be a situation where someone has a cell phone and a home phone and you're leaving the same voicemail. So be it. That's just how it goes. It's going to be impossible to really know whose number is associated with what, because as you know, there's going to be 5 phone numbers and only one of those is theirs. But in some situations, there could be 2 that are theirs, and that's just the risk you're going to have to run. I do leave voicemails. I actually, my voicemails are very different from other people because I don't like to mention that I'm a realtor, and I also don't mention my name because, I mean, I don't know many Marias. I mean, if Maria Langgle called me, I'd answer the phone. But if someone left me a voicemail and I weren't a real estate agent, and I said, "Hey, it's Maria, give me a call back." I don't know Maria. I'm not going to call back. So I just leave a voicemail as simple as, "Hey, sorry, I just missed you. Can you give me a call back, 303-817-3303?" Because they don't want to. I mean, they've been getting hit with calls from realtors all day. If you leave them a voicemail, oh my God, it's just another realtor. I'm not calling them back. They don't know I'm a realtor. If they don't know an Ashton, and the majority of people don't, they're not going to respond. So I'm leaving those 2 things out, creating curiosity and getting them to call me back.
Okay. Okay. Now that's cool. Now, when they do call back, now the one thing I liked about Vulcan 7 is they had that callback feature. So if they call back, it brings up all their information, their address, who they are, and all this kind of stuff. Now, with Mojo, I'm not finding that. So like they call back and I don't have their, so why did you call? Well, I don't
Do you
have
have
their
the Mojo app on your phone?
Yeah, I do have the Mojo app on my phone. Yeah. I just
Okay,
got,
do you have an iPhone?
I have a Android.
Okay, I'm not sure how it works for Android, but if you have the app and you're signed into it, if they call you back on the number that you're using on Mojo, it gives me their contact information and all that stuff. So I would look into the settings of the app, because if you have that set up correctly, and they address in profile as well.
Okay, because I usually use my laptop. Like
Yeah.
I do my expires.
And if you're using,
yeah,
I only use.
Oh, you're breaking out. Oh, I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit.
Oh, no worries. So if you have the app, let's say I call on my laptop and my computer too. So I don't actually use the app. I only have the app because if it calls me, whether you have used the mobile app or the laptop, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be getting their contact information if you set up the correct details and stuff in the settings in the app.
Okay, cool. Okay, so sounds like
And
I gotta set-
if it doesn't work, just hang up on the call, look them up in Mojo, and then call them back with the information. Because I'd rather you do that than answer and not have the information in front of them or you.
I haven't had, Kevin, I honestly get a lot of calls back, and I'm just honest, and I can tell you 90% of the time, the home seller or the expired doesn't mind being told that, hey, I made several phone calls this morning, reaching out to a few people, probably like yourself, that homes expired with other agents. I've sold quite a few homes that other agents couldn't. Can you help me understand which home is yours? You know, I'm not in front of my computer. We're not supposed to be in front of our computers all day, and we're normal people.
Yeah, right.
So we don't have to always have the answers. They don't expect that, just as long as you're sensitive.
Okay.
I'm a big advocate of Phil Jones. So I think if you ask soft questions and build momentum, that's really where the success is at. That's why I liked Ashton's questions based about, you know, what was your last experience like? What are you looking for in a realtor? And those softer, easier to answer questions.
Yeah. No, cool.
I really like that, Robert. I like that. That's a great way of handling that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else
any other questions?
And Christian's still walking. If anybody's ever used one of those walking treadmills while they're on the phones or making their calls, contact Christian. He's been doing it consistently now for almost a month.
So, quick question on my end. I've never done a speed dialing or any of these systems. Are any of these programs that you've discussed, Vulcan 7 or Mojo, do they have like pre-built in do not call, registry, or they can clear it from do not call?
They sure do. Yeah. Mojo, they have not only do they have a DNC filter, but they also have a time guard as well. So, I mean, as you know, I live in Colorado. Not everybody who has a house primarily resides in Colorado. Let's say they live in Hawaii, for example. If I'm calling a property that belongs in Colorado, but the owner lives in Hawaii, it recognizes that it's a Hawaii number, and the zone guard protects you from dialing them at 4 a.m. So it also protects you from calling too early or too early or too late, which is always nice.
That is cool.
Great input. Great input. Any other questions? Wow. Well, great information. Thank you for everyone who participated. I think we all learned a lot, and I'd love to hear this. I have a saying that I've often said. Ashton's probably heard me say this, especially when somebody comes on my schedule and they say, I want to call expireds. My first reaction is, can you get through the suck? And oftentimes they'll tell me, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, well, you're going to suck until you don't. Can you get through the suck? The first, as Ashton says, he's making 300-400 calls a day. So you've got to do this over and over and over and practice your scripts and read the Phil Jones and trial and error, and it's not going to work from day one. You got to get through the suck. Everyone that tells me that expireds don't work never got through the suck. Everyone that says expires is a great lead source got through the suck. It's that simple. And
that's the big reason and that's the big reason why I disclose that I've been told to screw off 27 times, because it's very easy to give up after the first or second time because you're like, well, all these people hate me. This doesn't work. But no, you're going to get some bad apples. There's bad apples everywhere. So
I've heard this a number of times. I remember our coach told Maria and I this many, many, many moons ago, that if you're going to be making your calls and you make a ton of calls and you get like 7 fuck off calls in one day, just stop. Your mindset's wrong. So you could actually literally just put a list up on your wall and just put check marks on it and say, label it however you want, screw off or whatever. And every time you get one, just check it off. And if you get 7 in a day, you know what? Just stop and wait till the next day, or stop, take a break, do something else, and get back to it in the afternoon. Whatever works best for you. But don't let that stop you from making the calls. We're not here to try to help them. We're trying to get through those to find the person that does need our help. That's who we care about.
Great job, Ashton.
Okay.
You're very inspirational.
Really cool.